Friends.
Governor-elect Tony Evers says he'll look at all options after Governor Walker signs 3 bills into law, one which limits the incoming governor's power.
A man who dedicated decades to serving our country is now serving other veterans through his company, and that work is earning a pretty big honor.
This time of year can be draining, both mentally and emotionally. Experts share ways to fight the holiday blues tonight at 6.
This is News 3 at 6.
We are learning more about the arrest of a Girl Scout leader from Sun Prairie.
Stephen Faust is accused of sexually assaulting a child. Sun Prairie police say they've been investigating him for weeks over reports of multiple acts of sexual assault of a child. The assaults allegedly took place between 2010 and 2015. Faust was volunteering as a Girl Scout troop leader during the incidents. The Girl Scouts released this statement today about the arrest, saying their focus is to provide care to the families impacted. We will have more on the organization's protocols and hear from Sun Prairie Police tonight on News 3 at 10.
Well, what will happen next now that Governor Walker signed lame duck legislation into law?
Incoming Governor Tony Evers says he will do what he can to put a stop to his powers being stripped. Rose Schmidt is here to explain. Rose?
That's right. Governor-elect Evers did not say whether he plans to file a lawsuit over the Republican legislation stripping his powers, but we know liberal groups say they plan to take legal action over the laws Walker signed that restrict early voting. Walker signed those measures at an event in Green Bay today, ignoring calls from both sides for him to veto the legislation. He says he's keeping transparency in state government. The legislation gives Republicans control over the state's job creation agency and blocks Evers from withdrawing Wisconsin from a lawsuit challenging the Affordable Care Act. Evers called a news conference today to condemn Walker's actions and says he's reviewing his options now.
I was looking at this legislation to assess where it stands when it comes to transparency, accountability, protecting the taxpayers, and making sure there's a sense of stability in government.
We will be looking at all options that we can to make sure that the people's will from last November 6th are taken into account.
Early voting would be limited to 2 weeks before an election under one of the 3 bills Walker signed. A liberal group headed by former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder plans to fight this law in court. The group successfully sued in federal court in 2016 to overturn a similar provision. Now, these bills would also limit the powers of the Attorney General. Incoming AG Josh Kaul called these bills stunningly bad, but he's not saying yet whether he plans to file a lawsuit. So something to keep an eye on.
All right, Rose, thank you.
A man accused in a number of downtown and campus area sexual assaults and attempted kidnapping has reached a plea deal with Dane County prosecutors. 31-year-old Coleman Chung was accused of trying to force a woman into his trunk, striking one victim with a hatchet, and sexual assault. He pleaded guilty to 5 of the 10 charges he faced in 2 different cases, including the kidnapping and sexual assault charges. He faces more than 22 years in prison. Sentencing will happen in about 2 months. Madison police are trying to figure out how a woman got injured. They found her in a garage on Pilgrim Road on Madison's west side this morning. Police say the woman was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Detectives have not said how she was injured and if anyone else was involved. And Madison firefighters were also very busy this afternoon after being called to a house fire. This happened on Meadowwood Drive. Witnesses say flames could be seen coming from that home. Investigators are trying to determine a cause. No one was hurt. The Red Cross now assisting those who were affected by this fire.
Some patches of fog are possible for tonight. Let's check in with meteorologist Dave Caulfield. Dave?
We had a nice day after the fog got out of here this morning. We could have a similar situation playing out tomorrow morning. I don't think that fog will be as widespread or as dense, but in some spots it could be a pretty similar story. Platteville, we're not seeing any fog right now, actually looking at mostly clear skies on the Queen Bee Radio Skycam. But visibility is definitely challenging in spots, especially across southeastern Wisconsin. Kenosha down to a quarter-mile visibility. In Janesville, at least at the airport, less than a quarter of a mile visibility. So very dense fog being reported for some spots as well into northern Illinois. Temperatures are down into the upper 20s. We lost the sunshine and we lost those temperatures in the 40s and 30s, which we saw today. Dew points are still in the mid to upper 20s, signaling some more fog could be in store as we start off Saturday. Temperatures and winds over the next 12 hours, winds remaining relatively light, and those temperatures will continue to tumble through the 20s, bottoming out in the mid-20s. But after we get rid of the fog tomorrow, lots more sunshine and more nice weather on the way this weekend. We'll talk about a wonderful weekend in store, plus some flurry chances returning next week in your First Alert forecast in just a few minutes.
9 Wisconsin businesses received top honors for the 2018 Marketplace Governors Awards competition. Out of the 300 applicants, one of the 9 winning businesses is located in McFarland. Jamie Perez introduces us to the winning team.
Right, so this competition recognizes outstanding businesses owned by minorities, women, and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. Now, this business in McFarland, called U.S. Vet General Contracting, has been open since 2010, and they do a lot of contracting and construction work, especially for the VA hospitals. And this award has shown their growth and the years of success to come.
They're the proud owners of this shiny new award. Out of 300 applicants, this company was one of 9 of the best in all of Wisconsin.
It's a big honor to get it, and we're very proud here.
Matt Bell is the president, the leader of the pack, as you'll hear his staff say. He started this company to fill what was missing in his life about 9 years ago.
2009, I retired from the military, the U.S. Army for 20 years, and I had a big hole in my life.
Matt found purpose doing something he was already kind of familiar with while serving.
I always had a civilian job, and that was in construction. I was a project manager.
So why not transfer those skills and serve those who have also served us while finding a purpose? It seems to have worked out pretty well for Matt.
I owe it all to the employees, good employees that we have here. They work hard, and they make U.S. Vet look great.
During the interview I did with Matt, he refused to take any credit, so I asked his staff, why do you think you got this award?
He's a great person to work for and really cares about his employees and takes care of us very well, and you know, we're all proud of him and for all the hard work that he puts in.
He's the leader of the pack. Matt's a great employer. He's a great boss. He is part of a team. He doesn't put himself above anyone, so he's a good person to be around and be with and work for.
You can kind of get a sense of that in this outtake.
What's your official job title here?
And you can definitely tell why Matt, his staff, and this company deserve this award.
It means a lot. It means the company's doing things right and right by the industry. And I'm proud of Matt for winning it and proud of everyone who pulls together to do the work that we do here.
There's definitely a really great energy in that building, and they're doing some pretty great work serving those who have served us. For a list of all the winners for this year's awards, you can visit channel3000.com.
Jamie, thank you. A new fire station meant to cut down on emergency response times for thousands of Madison neighborhoods is almost done. According to the alder for the area, Fire Station 14 will be open by the 27th. There's still construction going on around Dairy and Femrite Drives this morning. A News 3 investigation found it can take up to 15 minutes for an ambulance or fire truck to respond to parts of the city's southeast side. Construction on the new station started back in February. If you live or own a business around there, this might mean a slightly lower premium on your insurance, so be sure to contact your agent.
The Badger Prairie Needs Network is celebrating the launch of a new program it says will help feed thousands of Wisconsin families. The volunteer-run nonprofit held a ribbon cutting for its expanded facilities and the launch of the Kitchen to Table Food Network. The program will use surplus food donated by commercial businesses throughout southern Wisconsin. Volunteers say they are proud to make a difference.
To see a family receive the food they get here and just so thankful for the help, the dignity, the respect that they get from coming here and receiving a hand. It's very rewarding.
The Badger Prairie Needs Network helped feed over 15,000 people this year.
The holidays can bring a lot of joy for people, but for some, this is a hard time of year to get through. Experts say loneliness, anxiety, depression, and stress can pop up during this time of year, especially because of the pressures of gift giving, entertaining, and family. They suggest steer clear of social settings that make you feel uncomfortable. Get sunlight and fresh air, create a budget to stave off financial stress, and set reasonable expectations when it comes to entertaining, and be by the ones you love.
Surround yourself with positive people and friends and family, because we forget that we have a right to feel happy during a season that's supposed to be happy.
Experts say this is the time of year where we typically overconsume alcohol, making those bad feelings worse. We have something else to think about when it comes to gift giving during the holidays, coming up in about 10 minutes. Next at 6, big changes for a small city in southern Wisconsin.
The problems facing business owners in Columbus and how they're impacting the city's historic downtown. Columbus is about a 20-minute drive from the east side of Madison with an historic downtown. Some businesses have been there for decades, yet there have been some recently with some changes, including to an iconic steakhouse, a longtime drug and gift store.
Madeline O'Neill has more on those changes and what city leaders hope for in the future.
Being a solid business downtown was always exciting. At some point, it had to change.
Just by looking at the historic buildings in Columbus, you might think things never change.
8290.
Inside Sherrow's.
USA 429. This is how we do it. Really.
A lot has stayed the same, including the family name behind the store.
That's what a small town's all about, isn't it?
Third-generation family business owner Nick Sherrow continues what his grandfather started in 1923.
And that's absolutely what I enjoyed most, was just plain taking care of people.
But in recent years, change has found its way in.
You're our newest helper, aren't you?
What used to be a drugstore is now just a gift and coffee shop. And now Nick is preparing for the biggest change yet.
I guess it might say it's time to move on.
He says James Street construction hurt his business.
We did try to keep it open and fight through it, but bring up so many of these items.
And he's looking toward retirement.
It was tough making the decision. Going to be the third and last generation here.
It's not just Sherrow's. There are other big changes downtown, even just right down the street, where a decades-long staple in Columbus is now closed.
Just seemed to all happen at the same time.
J.D. Milbourne, vice president of the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, says a number of businesses are closing or have retiring owners, including Caldwell Lumber, Cardinal Comics, and the Capri Steakhouse.
It was the 3 C's.
He believes Columbus is in a transition phase, and it's time to create some new downtown icons.
It's just a time to maybe modernize, to do some different things, to use some of the the new marketing tools and to capture parts of the market that we're missing.
So this,
Back at Cheryl's,
this, and this, and this. And
Nick
all
hopes
of
to sell or lease the shop to a buyer who can continue the legacy, whether it carries his family name or not.
I'd love to see it work.
In Columbus,
Thank you. Thanks for stopping in.
Madeline O'Neill, WISC News 3.
Starting in the new year, Sharrows will have more limited hours as they reduce their inventory and try to find a buyer.
A new pet is something kids often ask Santa for.
But pet store owners say now may not be the time to bring in that new addition. Things they want you to consider before you gift an animal this season. Next on News 3 at 6.
There's no question puppies and kittens can make for adorable gifts.
But this holiday season, pet store owners are encouraging families to consider several factors before deciding to adopt. They think waiting is better if you simply want a dog or cat because they're cute or a friend just got one. Also, pet store owners say you shouldn't give in just because your kids are asking incessantly. However, they feel if your family has been considering a pet for a while and now is a good time financially and logistically, you might be ready for the responsibility of a cat or dog.
Definitely important to think about what that commitment looks like, what supplies are needed, and then what that pet's going to need, especially based on age and sometimes breed of pet. So what does work schedules look like, and are you able to leave work to go home for a potty training pet?
While cats can be cheaper than dogs, either pet can cost you a couple $100 to several $1,000s each year.
All right, we're looking at a weekend that if you like mild December weather, well, you're going to like this one. Dave Caulfield joining us with what we can expect. Dave?
Yeah, Eric and Charlotte, I think the pets outside today really had a good time, especially once the fog lifted because high temperatures got into the low to mid 40s in some spots across southern Wisconsin. 43 the high in Madison and Mineral Point, 40 in Monroe, 37 a little bit lower in Janesville. That's because that fog has kind of really hung on throughout much of the day, and we actually do have another dense fog advisory to talk about, really the only damper on this weekend's forecast. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But December temperatures, once this fog gets out of here, we're in for something that we really haven't been used to over the past month or two, which is a extended stay in above average temperature land. We are looking at a lot of orange boxes there in a row, and I think as we head into Saturday and Sunday, we're looking at temperatures a little bit above where they should be as well. This weekend, I think we'll be in the 40s once again. Here's our time lapse in Madison. At least I think that's Madison. There we go. We get that fog to lift out this morning, and then during the afternoon, good amount of sunshine. Mostly clear skies with us right now on the WISC-TV Skycam. Most of us are still dealing with pretty decent visibility. The exception is for southeastern Wisconsin. Less than a quarter of a mile visibility showing up in Janesville right now at the airport, and a quarter of a mile visibility in Kenosha. Monroe starting to see some visibility drops, as is Watertown. So dense fog advisory now issued for spots south and east of Dane County until 9 a.m. tomorrow. So if you are traveling south or closer to Milwaukee County not included in this, but especially if you're heading east tonight, keep that in mind that dense fog may be part of your journey. So give yourself a little bit of extra time on the roadways into tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now are in the 20s. We really saw those temperatures drop pretty quickly once we lost that sunshine, and dew points are in the mid-20s and some low 30s showing up, so some patchy dense fog possible for other spots and not included in that advisory as we start off tomorrow morning as well. That's something to keep in mind. Our high temperature trend, as I mentioned, we're looking at an extended stay above normal even into next week. Tonight, mostly clear with some patchy fog. Temperatures in the 20s for tomorrow. We're mild, mostly sunny once that fog gets out of here. I think highs will make another run into the low 40s. So pretty quiet over the next few days with high pressure in control. The only thing we need to worry about is that overnight fog and maybe some clouds on the way for early Sunday, but I do think plenty of sunshine on the way for the next couple of days and into the start of the work week next week as well, with temperatures in the 30s. Some flurry chances do return to the forecast for the middle of next week.
We've got a big showdown in the Big 8 for our first game in our winter installment of Prep Mania Game of the Week. We've got a live preview from Verona. That's next in sports. Well, we are only a few weeks into the winter sports season, but things already heating up in girls basketball in the Big 8 with 5 teams fighting for first place. More on that. We head out to our favorite dynamic duo. News 3's Jay Wilson is with Bill Brophy for our Prep Mania Game of the Week. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, Melissa. Good evening, everyone. As Melissa said, 5 teams tied for first in the Big 8 at 4-1, and 2 of them play here tonight, Madison Memorial and Verona. And we bring in Bill Brophy, part of our 12th season of the Game of the Week. And we were hoping to see 2 of the best young underclassmen in the state. We'll see one of them, but we won't see Leilani Kapanis from Madison Memorial, and we won't see her for quite some time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kapanis suffered a torn ACL on November 30th playing a game. They just found out this week she's out for the year. They're slated surgery in the near future. She's ranked the 9th best player in the country by ESPN, and she can do it all. She made the state in the high jump last year. She's a wonderful athlete who led this team in about every category. And unfortunately, she's out. So Memorial, even though they're 7-1 and ranked 7th in the state, are a team in search of identity. They have to regroup. They got a long way to go. They've won 2 of the 3 games since Leilani went down, but they are going to have to rely heavily on Emily Rankin, who's one of their many returning starters. And they're still a good club, and it'll be interesting to see them go against a good Verona club tonight.
And for Verona, we're going to see one of the best freshmen in the country in Aaliyah Smith. She's ranked 16th by some rating services, and she can bring it. And she is a high-scoring, talented player, so we'll see how that all plays out tonight and for the rest of the season. Madison Memorial and Verona, channel3000.com only. We'll be live on the air online at 7:15 tonight. Melissa, back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Jay. Well, on to the Badgers now. 2 more games left in 2018 for the men's basketball team. They'll host Grambling State next Saturday and head to Western Kentucky the Saturday after that. Wisconsin coming off a big win last night against Savannah State, where Brad Davison got his swagger back with a game-high 24 points. Some wise words from the sophomore on his game after last night's win.
You know, it's been a long couple of months. I'm trying to get it back. But, you know, I've put a lot of time into basketball and a lot of time into my shot. So I trust it. I have confidence in it. And, you know, sometimes you just got to, you know, tough times will come, but tough people last. So I'm just trying to continue to stay confident, trust my shot. I know they'll fall.
Some difficult news for the Badgers ahead of the Pinstripe Bowl. Senior inside linebacker Ryan Connolly will not play in the game against Miami. He recently had an undisclosed procedure that was from an injury that happened over the last 4 games of the season. Now, Chris Orr will play in his spot. Connolly finishes his career with 89 tackles this season and was a semifinalist for the Butkus Award. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, they are hungry for a win and to finish out the season much better than the regular season.
Obviously, last time we played, we were a little frustrated with ourselves, losing the axe and everything. So yeah, I think with this whole bowl prep, we've had a lot of time to improve and ultimately get better for this bowl game. So yeah, I think everybody's really encouraged and excited to get going in New York.
And the final injury report out today before the 190th meeting between the Packers and Bears on Sunday. Brian Bulaga listed as out. Bashad Breeland, Kenny Clark both listed as questionable. Rare Jimmy Graham interview appearance in the locker room today. That's coming up tonight on News 3 at 10, guys.
All right, Melissa, thanks. We want to get a quick final check of the forecast with Dave.
Some more dense fog, especially south and east of Madison tonight and into tomorrow morning. Visibility less than a quarter of a mile in some spots like Janesville. Temperatures in the 20s, so a few slick spots on the roads tonight.
Thanks for joining us at 6.
We'll see you back here at 10.